Hey, CityCast listener, this holiday season, you could win a prize for doing simple things like ordering takeout from a local restaurant. It's all part of the DC Holiday Hunt from District Bridges. There are over $3,000 in exclusive prizes that you could win while supporting local businesses, completing fun missions, and crisscrossing DC, which, as you know, is one of CityCast listeners' favorite activities. And with no app required to play, it's easy and can be done at your own pace. Play now through January 5th for your chance to win. Just go to dcholidayhunt.org. Once again, that's dcholidayhunt.org. Happy playing. Today on CityCast DC, a crazy high school football scandal has been roiling the Northern Virginia suburbs all year. It's like a movie plot. The new coach at a school called Hayfield High School is accused of having recruited a team of ringers. The team then went on to romp over just about everyone. They would win by like 75 points a game. But there was a twist. The whole scam fell apart thanks in part to the work of a small local newspaper. Dave McKenna from the Defector has been covering it, and he's here to lay out the whole gory saga. Today is Tuesday, December 10th. I'm Michael Schaefer, and here's what DC is talking about. Today, we are embracing the spirit of giving during our end-of-year membership campaign. If you become a CityCast DC member today, you will receive not just one, but two thank you gifts. One is an exclusive members-only CityCast DC tote bag and a free audiobook credit from our friends at Libro.fm. Just visit membership.citycast.fm to join. Look, at CityCast DC, we know that local news isn't just about the headlines. It's about giving you the information you need to navigate the hundreds of decisions you make every day as you live, work, and play in DC. We think about this all the time. We want to connect people to DC, whether that's connecting them with the stuff they're going to talk about with their neighbors in the back alley, or whether that's giving them some suggestions on ways to get the most out of the city. So we're asking you to invest a little in our work in order to help connect you to the city. For as little as $8 a month or $80 a year, do the math, that means it's a little discount. Your membership supports the work we do every day, bringing you the news, insights, and perspectives that make living in DC a little easier, a little brighter, and a lot more connected. So if you love what we do, head to membership.citycast.fm today. We'll send you the tote bag and the credit for the free audiobook when you become a member and invest in the local stories that help DC thrive. Be sure to provide your mailing address so we can send you that tote bag. Hey, Dave, it is awesome to see you.
Woo! Nice seeing you, Mike.
You were saying beforehand that this is the best local high school sports story of your lifetime.
As you know, I'm not into hyperbole, but this is the greatest local journalism story I've ever witnessed. Maybe it's just because I'm senile, but I mean this sincerely. As I say it, this is the greatest local journalism story I've seen. What the Fairfax County Times did to bring down this program, deservedly bring them down, is an amazing tale.
So let's back it up. Start with the school and where it is. Where is Hayfield, home of Hayfield High School, for people who don't know?
It is in the southern part of Fairfax County. I am a product of Fairfax County. I was born and raised Falls Church, Virginia. And Hayfield, the south part of the county was relatively largely irrelevant to the rest of the county. They were athletically, the schools there never really did anything. It's a very military central, near Fort Belvoir, part of Northern Virginia. This national district where they are is by far the worst athletic district in Northern Virginia, and maybe football-wise in the whole Washington area.
Back it up for a second for those of us who haven't followed it. In June, i.e. months before the season starts, reporters from the Fairfax County Times report that this historically not that good football program has suddenly gotten people from a totally different school.
In a totally different county, yes, in a totally different county.
In a totally different county, imported huge numbers of them. So, like, what did those stories say for people who don't know where these places are?
The run-of-the-mill Hayfield team. The Hayfield won the district, this worst district. They had a coach named Saad Haziz, and he did his job. It was a sorry district, but he won it every year. He was there. He was there 3 years and won the district. They replace him with this guy. A new principal comes in. He wants to make a splash. He hires this guy, Daryl Overton, his name is, from Freedom High School, the reigning two-time state champion of Virginia, who was doing this in Prince William County beating everyone. He beat a team. He had scored 112 points on the team 2 years ago. So he was doing, the principal knew what he was doing.
The tale said they hired this coach, but not just that they hired a coach with a great record, that coach then turned around and did what?
All his players followed him, and players from other private schools. He was clearly building a juggernaut in a region that was not fit for a football juggernaut. It was throwing a shark into a goldfish pond.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You can't just transfer to a different high school. You actually have to live in that area, right?
Correct.
So how did he get these guys around it?
Allegedly, they all moved in, but I've had 4 addresses my whole life, and I'm old as hell. Like, moving is hard and expensive, and for anyone who believes that 31 families picked up and moved is a dumbass.
So, what was the Hayfield's team like during the regular season this year?
This year, it was so good. It was horrendous. They had at least 4 guys who were clearly the best 4 guys on the football field whenever they played against every local public school. And like Coach said to me, if you have one D1 guy in Northern Virginia football, your team's going to be okay because no one's going to be able to stop him. If you have 2, you're going to be really good. And if you have 4, like Hayfield was up 75-0 at halftime in games. The Fairfax County Times gets wind of this and writes it up. And it was an amazing story. It was a bombshell. And I couldn't believe the world didn't stop and everyone take notice because I'm, as you know, Mike, I'm a little more obsessed with high school sports than a normal person should be. I love high school football. And this was the greatest tale I'd ever heard.
Let's be real, lawsuits are not fun. But with Christopher Nace and the trial lawyers at Paulson and Nace, at least they're a little easier. Paulson and Nace is a D.C. law firm in every sense of the word. It was founded here in 1979. Partner Chris Nace is a local who cares deeply about the D.C. community, even serving on the board of the local branch of the Living Classrooms Foundation in his free time. Nace and his associates, Samantha Peters, John Reese, and Maya Perry, handle medical malpractice, wrongful death, and other complex injury cases. And they don't just settle every case. They'll go to court. They'll fight for you. Paulson and Nace has even been recognized as one of Best Lawyers' best law firms. So if you have been hurt or lost a loved one because of someone else's mistake or negligence, call Paulson and Nace for a no-obligation consultation. Visit www.paulsonandnace.com or call 202-463-1999.
CityCast DC is brought to you today by Jones Dairy Farm. They're a 7th-generation family-owned and operated meat maker with products like dry-aged bacon, all-natural sausage, and America's favorite center-cut Canadian bacon. Their premium meats are all gluten-free, so they're perfect for busy mornings, and they're available all over the place in DC. I checked out the map on their website, jonesdairyfarm.com, and got back dozens of our grocery stores. You can get their sausage and pork, chicken, or turkey, and there are no preservatives, additives, MSG nitrates, or fillers. Expect only fresh ingredients from Jones Dairy Farm, making breakfast better since 1889.
Hi, David Plotz here. I'm the CEO of CityCast, and I'm here to ask you to become a member of CityCast in your city. CityCast is doing something no one else has ever tried. We're building a network of daily local podcasts and newsletters in cities around the country. My CityCast colleagues and I passionately believe that cities are incredible and that we can make them even better. So that's why we've got amazing, super local daily podcasts and newsletters made by locals, for locals in 13 cities. Little by little, every day, we're making our cities a little bit kinder, a little bit more interesting, more joyful, more informed. But this isn't easy or cheap. We've got 5 full-time employees just in your city. If you become a member, your financial support will help keep us bringing you what matters in your city. The news and events, the stories and controversies, the lists of the best ice creams and worst intersections. Please become a member today at membership.citycast.fm.
So Fairfax County Times reports this in June. Season starts in September. There are these crazy lopsided games where he's, like you say, humiliating the other team, which is weird because it's not, I mean, if I had been accused of padding my roster improperly, I might try to play it down a little bit and, not run up the score. And you say the school district in Fairfax County basically ordered, no one's allowed to talk about this and so on. When did the more formal investigation start? Because this story is going to wind up in court.
No formal investigation was ever held. Right before the season started, Michelle Reed, the superintendent of schools, holds a town hall meeting, the superintendent, to say, we've investigated and everything is great. Everything's wonderful. None of her wording is all there's a million loopholes when you break it down and read between the lines. But the implication was, this Fairfax County Times is full of crap. They made everything up. And it created a real anti-media, her fake news, Donald Trump fake news tone created a very anti-media element to the point where Asra Nomani was attacked outside a courthouse when they were having a hearing. She was physically attacked by a person with the Hayfield crowd. I do not know who this person was. They have not identified it. But it was a woman with the Hayfield supporters ran over and took a swing at her.
So Hayfield are being told everything's great here. It's just these pesky reporters are making stuff up because they're jealous.
Exactly right. These great reporters, the Fairfax County Times, Saravan Ganavarapu and Asra Nomani. She's this, I thought she would be a Cub reporter. She's on the high school football beat for a community newspaper. Turns out she's a KG veteran Wall Street Journal reporter who was she was hosting her friend Daniel Pearl, the Wall Street Journal reporter, in Pakistan when he was kidnapped and murdered. He was staying with her. She was there covering Islamic terrorism. And now she's covering the high school football for $50 a story. It was amazing.
So the season goes on. You mentioned that there was a court hearing. So who brought a complaint in court and what did it ask for?
Because Fairfax County did nothing, Michelle Reed would do nothing, and then the season goes on, and everyone knew it would, they just destroyed everybody in their path, and we're going to steamroll to at least to the state championship game without it being, any kind of close games. People kept complaining. The people who knew complained they were getting no audience at Fairfax County Schools, so they went to VHSL, the Virginia High School League, which is the sanctioning body. It's a nonprofit out of Charlottesville they've turned over running all the state tournaments and policing high school sports through the state has turned it over. And VHSL didn't act right away because, they don't have the resources to do everything. But they got enough to where they said the week before the regular season ended, Hayfield is suspended. They've clearly recruited. They used the word proselytizing. They violated recruiting rules, essentially, is what they said. And Hayfield, at the last second, they filed 2 suits. And Michelle Reed, somehow, her agency's top attorney, is representing. The county is officially not a part of this litigation. Yet, somehow, this high-dollar attorney is representing Hayfield, the story that only Michelle Reed cares about to save face, and gets an injunction at the last minute, 2 hours before kickoff of the playoff season. It's straight out of Friday Night Lights. It's insane. They get this injunction.
The court says their suspension is wrong. They must be allowed to play. 2 hours later, they go on the field. I presume they won that game?
They won that game. I went to the game, and they were up 75-0 with a minute left in the first half.
And then what happened? Because that was it for them. So something happened in the following week that caused them to withdraw from the rest of the playoffs.
Yes, that was the big bombshell. They got texts from the athletic director joking about declaring people homeless, because there are federal laws protecting kids who are actually homeless, which allow them to go to school anywhere. The fallback was going to be anyone who can't get an address that easy will just be declared homeless. That was the implication of these texts from the athletic director. That was the smoking gun that Michelle Reed, the superintendent of schools, had successfully hid from her constituents and employees. And the moment those came out, the athletic director resigned. Hayfield was pulled out of the playoffs. At long last, they should have never been allowed to play. This should never have been allowed to happen. Everything from that June story was basically true, and true enough to should have prevented what went on, which was just a season of misery for the whole county, including the Hayfield players. At that point, the principal, and Michelle Reed, they released a statement saying the principal has decided to withdraw Hayfield from the playoffs, when everyone knows this was Michelle Reed's decision and it had to be made. She forced the issue.
That was a couple of weeks ago. Has anybody lost their job?
The athletic director resigned the same day. He had miraculously taken a leave of absence 3 days before, and then the texts come out, and miraculously the athletic director resigns the next day, and Hayfield is withdrawn.
There was also a bonkers school board meeting over this.
There was a school board meeting that I saw through. It was bonkers only in its mundaneness. Like it should have been way more bonkers because given the anger and stuff. I was going to watch for fireworks for people, all the school board members who have become nationally embarrassed for running this ridiculous athletic scam. Yet it was all ass kissing and all going, oh, we're never going to let this happen again. They were saying, we're going to make sure this never happens again. Hey, well, where were you all year? You're still saying nothing happened. What are you never going to let happen again if nothing wrong happened?
Has the football coach lost his job?
The football coach has not lost his job. And to be honest, he's the only one in the whole thing. Him and the reporters at the Fairfax County Times, the only one who have done what they were hired to do. He did this exact same thing, relied on transfers, ran a travel team at Freedom High School in Prince William County. He ran a travel team there. They let him do it. Hayfield knew what he was getting into. The principal for Hayfield, who hired Thompson, his name is, he's got to go. They knew what they were getting when they hired Overton. That's why they wanted him. They wanted a state championship.
Well, it seems like the other people who did what they were supposed to do is the players. And so these players who transferred into this high school, or who didn't but made the team anyway, some of them, as you say, are really good, are D1, meaning they could go play at Division I college. Are they going to still do that? Are they going to have to deal with any, other than the sadness of not getting to go to the state championship, are they going to have to deal with any consequence as a result of what the grown-ups around them did?
Well, bizarrely, the consequences would be that there's really not much tape on them. When you get 3 plays a half, and because the other team is just, there's a running clock. It's called the slaughter rule, mercy rule. At 35 points, the clock starts running. So in no time flat, it's a running clock on these games. So there's really not much football being played. Will the Hayfield players who were going to go D1 suffer adversely? I don't believe so, because they all were known quantities anyway. And they had signed, like the guy at Virginia Tech, he was a Washington Post Player of the Year last year at Freedom. And he's still listed on ESPN's site as being with Freedom on their All-American list. He's going to Virginia Tech, and he had already declared, this is what a sham high school sports has become. He had declared that he was going to leave school early anyway. He's leaving in probably next week to go to Virginia Tech. He after this semester, he's gone. He's leaving high school.
All right. Well, what's the future now? What's going to happen to the Hayfield team, for next season and down the line? What's going to, is there a next step in this saga?
That is a great question, because Michelle Reed, I'm sure, is still trying to save face any way possible, seeing how they agreed to hire an outside law firm, as yet unnamed, that has no connection to Fairfax schools. So hopefully this will lead to a real investigation. And I can't wait for that report. It's going to be, must read. A declaring kid, think about it, anybody would be outraged if kids were declared homeless just so they could play football for a state championship team. Or if homeless kids were exploited to that degree, if actual homeless kids, there's no good outcome for Michelle Reed here. Either it's a massive fraud on her watch when she declared there was no fraud, or these poor kids are being exploited, trafficked for their football skills.
This feels like it could be a great, ripped from the headlines motion picture sometime.
Dismember the Titans is what I would call it, yeah.
Dave, it's awesome to see you, man.
Awesome to see you, Mike. Always good.
And that is all for today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.